Good morning, everyone. I'm Kevin Allen. I'm joined by my usual broadcast partner, former NHL defenseman Tom Laidlaw. Played 11 seasons for the New York Rangers, Los Angeles Kings. This is the Laidlaw and Allen Report, coming to you twice a week to talk all things hockey and a few other interesting items that we get into. Usually Tom's cooking, sometimes politics, sometimes life in general, and sometimes the weather, like here in Michigan. It's a beautiful day, 70 degrees, and I'm sure it is in New York as well, in Connecticut.
Yes, it is. You notice how Mother Nature backed down from me? She couldn't take it anymore. She tried to, I'm going no air conditioning, and she finally said, listen, I can't beat them. I'm just going to turn the heat down.
So. Wow. Yeah. I saw that was all about, the weather was all about you. They were trying to wear you down so you wouldn't be able to march and such. Interesting.
Yeah, she said, we'll see. This guy says he's going to not use the air conditioning all summer long. We'll show him who's boss. And she tried to win. And
you don't use the air conditioning, eh?
So I didn't tell you this. So it's a vow for this summer. I started doing it. I've really got into believing that power of the mind and how you can talk yourself into things and talk yourself out of things and your subconscious and all this. So I realized, you know what? I grew up without air conditioning. My parents never had air conditioning in any house they ever lived in the entire time of their life. And it's just one of those things. I think, you know what? We're conditioned to believe that we need air conditioning. I don't think we do. It was hot. There's a couple times it was 85 in the house. Had the fans going, but. No air conditioning.
So you did have to turn on the fans.
I have a little portable fan that I have with me. I'll either take it to bed with me, or if I'm sitting inside or outside, I'll have a fan with me. I needed it. It was hot, but
yeah, I'm not sure I'm going to support you on that. I love your True Grit lifestyle, but I don't even understand the purpose of that. So modern
there is a purpose. So it's about strengthening your mind. So making yourself get out of the comfort zone and make yourself do things that you really want to do.
Yeah, and the purpose of that is to do things that you don't want to do is...
Well, because then there will be times during your life that things will happen to you. You'll make mistakes, unfair things will happen to you. And then now you're more prepared to handle it because you always said, listen, I've battled through stuff before. I can battle through that. Yeah,
you're in your 60s. Most of those are behind you. So
No.
Yeah, well, neither here nor there. But anyway, what I want to talk about starting out is we've talked before. I've been kidding Tom about his list of players that he doesn't like. It's getting to be a lengthy list, and I had suggested before that we have create a list of players that he does love. That way we can put players on, and I've got a nominee today that I think has Tom Laidlaw written all over him, and I want to put him on the list because he's a young player. And that way, we can, he's got some veterans that he likes. He's a big fan of Petriche, Bergeron. I'm sure you can rattle off 5 other players that he loves how they play. But this guy is not, he has been in the NHL, but just for a cup of coffee. But he's going to be a big-time NHL player, in my opinion, and that is Mason McTavish of the Anaheim Ducks. And if you've been watching the World Juniors, he's has 6 goals and 4 assists. He's just a man among boys out there. He's just a beastly performer. Right. And I think that, but what happened at practice the other day, I think has Tom written all over him. And some of you may have read about this, but in practice, there was a face-off duel. They were working on face-offs between Kent Johnson, the Michigan player, former Michigan player who's now with the Columbus Blue Jackets. He's a premium player himself. And they were working on these face-offs, and eventually, over time, Kent Johnson got the best of Mason McTavish in these drills, got the puck away, and was starting to make a play. So what did McTavish do? He slew-footed. Kent Johnson, one of the stars on his team, a member of the the captaincy. He's in that group with Mason McTavish as the captain. Johnson is an alternate. Oh. Now, how do you think Johnson reacted to that? He's a hard-nosed kid too, not like McTavish. Right. He said, "No, not here, not now." And so, of course, they got into it.
Oh, nice.
So anyway, I don't like the slew foot. Never liked that play. Never liked it at all. Yeah. But I do appreciate that both of these guys are so competitive that even though there's the captain and the alternate captain, they got into it over respect and what it all meant. Sure. This is an exceptional Canadian team in my opinion. I think they got a great chance of winning the gold. I do think the Americans have a chance to beat them. I don't think the American team is as good as the Canadian team this time around. I think there's a real advantage in goal that the Canadians have. But saying all that, U.S. has played well, and they are good enough to beat them. But anyway, I don't know if you've seen much of the tournament or whether or not you know much about McTavish, but if you do, weigh in on what you think about the lad.
Well, I haven't seen much of the tournament, and I just want to clarify one thing to start off with. It's not that I hate these other players. I put them in the category that they're going to regret that they didn't get more out of their careers. They're most of them are really talented guys that aren't getting the most out of their careers, just to clarify that.
Yeah.
So I haven't seen McTavish. I've heard a lot of good stuff about him, the competitiveness in him. And I love that. I mean, I'm with you. I don't like the slip foot. I do like the fact that he's a competitor. He lost the faceoff, was not happy about it. Obviously, wanted to do something about it. And I love the fact that he went out in practice too. That happens a lot. It certainly happened a lot when I played. Guys going out in practice, and usually, like I've told this story before, George McPhee and Steve Richmond had a stick swinging duel in practice without wearing helmets. So we didn't wear helmets in practice back then. Swinging the sticks. They were great friends, and they're great friends to today. And they went out. They were trying to get each other. And typically, if a fight happens, the guys will jump in and break it up. But these guys are swinging their sticks, so we had to wait for the right time to jump in and break them up. And finally did. And then we took them in. They were both cut up a little bit, so we took them in the trainer's room. And our trainer, Bob Murray, I believe, was a great guy. And he felt like everything was calmed down. And he said, "Okay, guys, you can leave them in here with me. I'm fine." And we go to turn and walk away, and we hear these chairs crashing. They're throwing chairs at each other down the training room. So, but I think it was Steve Richmond wrote a letter to George. Again, they're really good friends, like really close, and they were great friends after it all settled down. And that was usually the case with fights and practices. I'm assuming we were those two guys. The same thing. They're just competitive guys, and that's sometimes happens in practice. But I like the fire. Yeah, those guys definitely are on team.
Yeah, I really like this McTavish player. Like, I just think he's going to be, kind of the next thing that we're all excited about, just in terms of having the offensive might, and also, he's just a big, strong, kid, and I think he's going to be playing, kind of a Messier style, where he's going to be into it all the time, and yet he can create plays and drive the net and do everything like. I've said this before, but the Anaheim Ducks rebuild, if we can call it that, is in a little bit different place. Like, Pat Verbeek inherited a team. Like, when Lou Lamoriello and Babcock and Shanahan went into Toronto, they were completely starting over. They actually had to do the stripping down to the chassis. Steve Yzerman had to do exactly the same thing in Detroit. But in Anaheim, Pat Verbeek, who is a Yzerman disciple, he took over a team that already has some pieces in place. He has Trevor Zegras. He has Drysdale on defense. He's got several other players. And now they've added Mason McTavish to that group. And I think they're already, well down the road. I mean, Gibson is not 30 yet. Yep. Like, he's going to be around for a while. I mean, Gibson strikes me as the kind of goalie that will be playing into his mid-30s at the very least. Yep. So I like this Anaheim team, and I like the McTavish, Zegras. Have them on two different lines, and suddenly you're looking pretty good. You're looking down the road now and look at Seattle with Marty Beniers and Shane Wright as their top two centers. Like, there's some teams that are going to be pretty good down the middle here in the not so distant future.
Good young players too. Cam Fowler is still there. I don't think he's 30 years old yet. The defenseman there. Yeah. I like him. Good skater. He moves the puck well. Seems like I watched him playing junior. I wasn't sure how aggressive he's going to be. He's not a fighter or anything like that, but he competes pretty hard too. So,
well, the defense that they have now, Shattenkirk. Not everybody loves Shattenkirk, but. I think he knows how to play the game. I think, his idea of defense is let me get the puck and get it out of our zone. Yep. But there is, that's the way you kind of play defense as well, is, bodying people off the point. It's about puck possession. It's about moving it out of the zone. And Shattenkirk does that. They brought in Klingberg. I thought that was a great signing for both the player and the team. I think the team gets the benefit of, hey, let's watch you for a year. Maybe you fit well here. You can watch us. Maybe you like it here. Maybe you don't. When in the meantime, we'll pay you like you should be paid at $7 million. So I like what they did there. So I just think that Pat Verbeek's off to a real good start in his time with with Anaheim. So and my second subject today, I want to talk a little bit about. I read this piece and it made me think about this a little bit. The piece was about players UFAs who are going to take the biggest haircut. And obviously, right off the top, we know that's going to be PK Subban, who was making $9 million per year, and now he doesn't even have a job. And I think, and Phil Kessel, of course, was at $8 million, and he also doesn't have a job. And I think both of them are in the take what you can get mode right now. If they want to stay in the league, I don't think anybody's coming in and giving Kessel $4 million or Subban $4 million even, or anything of that nature. So to be honest with you, I don't understand the whole Phil Kessel thing. I wonder if there is some fear about getting involved in his consecutive game streak. They don't want to bring him in because they may be the one that says, "Hey, Phil, you got to sit down." In this game. So maybe that's it. I don't know. But he had 52 points last year. Yeah. People talk about, well, he can't play and he's out of shape. And he had 52 points for a very poor team.
Yeah, he's very poor. In the same shape when he almost won the Conn Smythe Trophy with Pittsburgh too. I mean, he maybe should have won that, but he's in the same condition he is now. So he's, he can skate. That's the thing. We talked about this before, right? You look at him and you think this guy's out of shape. Meanwhile, when you watch him play, he's flying up and down the ice. He's got a great shot. I'm with you. It may be with those guys, if they can't get anything during the summer, obviously you want to go into training camp with somebody, so you're skating. And both those guys are the kind of guys that, although with PK Subban, like I hear good things about Phil Kessel in the locker room. Seems like you said before that Sidney Crosby likes him a lot. Great guy, he's funny, great in the locker room. I don't see that with PK Subban. That's part of the problem. But PK, his game has obviously dropped off as well, but it's just he's and some of the stuff he does, it's more about, and I don't know the man, it's just the appearance from a distance. It looks like PK Subban's more about PK Subban than he is for the team. And it's a shame because, in Montreal, he was, I think he won the best defenseman award too once. So, I would be surprised is anybody going to want to touch PK Subban?
I don't know. I mean, it's going to be interesting if they do. I think, like you even hear rumblings about a PTO for Kessel. I haven't heard that and I simply don't understand that. Like I said, even over the last 4 years when, people said, well, he's on the decline, he still averaged more than 50 points for the last 4 years. Like 50-point scores are still valued in this league. Yeah. So I don't know, kind of what the deal is. I mean, I get that he looks like an insurance salesman. Yeah. I get that he's not the same player he was 6-7 years ago, but he's still producing, still contributing, as you pointed out, and that I've talked about before. Well liked in the dressing room. Well liked. Players think he's funny. He's quiet. He's kind of shy, but he throws in these one-liners that seem to come out of nowhere that crack teammates up. Like that. He'll just be sitting there out of nowhere, and he's not one. He doesn't like to draw attention to himself. Yeah. It just fits at that time, and he throws it in. It's not like he's trying to, win the comedy award because that's not Phil. He doesn't like to be the center of attention. So
I wonder if somebody's offering him in particular a real low amount, like $1 million contract or something like that, and he's saying, "I don't want to sign for that." It could be. I mean, Patrice Bergeron is a better player than both PK Subban and Phil Kessel, and he signed for $2.5 million for 1 year too. Now he does have a bonus package there. That $5 million.
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to say that Bergeron really signed for $5 million because he only has to play 10 games.
Oh,
yeah, to get that. So he really now. What basically Boston did is they transferred that money till next season. Like they're going to pay the piper next year. Oh, okay. Because you know how that works. If you get the bonuses, you got to pay for them the following year on your overages. So, and you can only do that with players 35 and over. So, that's what they're doing there. The same thing with Krejci. He doesn't have the same level of bonuses. But if they get those, they'll pay for Krejci next year as well.
Was Cassidy hated that much? So
No,
DeBrusque
I really don't think. Krejci seemed dumbfounded as my daughter's dog comes in to visit me. Krejci said he indicated he didn't know what the heck everybody was talking about. Like he said unequivocally that the coach who was coach of the Bruins had no bearing. He said no bearing on my decision to come back or not to come back. So.
Well, then DeBrusque could ask for a trade. Now, maybe it's coincidence. Now Cassidy gets fired. Now DeBrusque is.
Well, I mean, I do think Cassidy and DeBrusque had some issues. So I don't think that's but I don't think it was necessarily the. I believed Krejci when he said he left because he wanted to go back to the Czech Republic. I mean, he was 34 years old. He had done what he had set out to do in the NHL. I felt like he just wanted to go home. We've had players, other Europeans, who have also just gone home because they wanted to go home. So,
But then there's the rumor that I heard was pretty right on too. That Bergeron said that if Cassidy was still there, he wasn't coming back and playing again.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I have not seen anything about what he has said about all that. Have they even talked to Bergeron? I'm not really sure.
I don't know.
Yeah, they did talk to Bergeron because he said for sure there was all those rumors too about how Montreal wanted him, and Bergeron came out and said, "Kent Hughes never called me." Said not once. He said, and he said, he was my agent for 20 years, and he said, he knew how I felt about things, and I wasn't going to go to Montreal. He knew that, so he said it never happened. People made it up. So.
Interesting. Wow. Well, the place I heard the rumor about him not getting along with Cassidy came from pretty good source that I trust. So, they got information from inside the club. So,
I mean that I don't know, but we do know that David, that Pasternak and a lot of other players had lobbied Krejci to come home. So that was all part of that.
So if Stastny is over 35, then yes, they can do that bonus structure.
For sure they can. Yeah. And I think Stastny is still a good player. A very good player. He scored 20 goals last year, 20 or 21. Yeah. But more importantly, this guy's a face-off guy. He's a defensive player. Like, he's all over you. Like, think of, for all you older Rangers, think Jan Eriksson, but with a scoring touch, can play offense. Like, he can play. He is a really good defensive player. Really, really good. So,
have you heard the rumors about him going to the Rangers?
I have not, but I think he's a very valuable player. So, he's older though. That's the issue. That whenever you're dealing with players that are that age, he's over 35. You don't know when the wheels are going to fall off. You just don't. You're just hoping that it's not this year. So, but he had a good season. Like, look his numbers up for those who are concerned about him, about how well he played last year in terms of production. And then, you can factor in that very smart player, like an intellectual,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh,
yeah. Oh, yeah. 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 Well, the Stastnys are just real bright people.
Yeah, they are.
So,
that's right.
Real bright.
Hey, so the legend of Jack Eichel continues. The curse of Jack Eichel.
Yeah. Oh, he caused Leonard's
hip
surgery. Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was the one that hurt Leonard's hip. So,
yeah, that's an interesting thing. I don't know how you feel about that. If I was Vegas, given that they signed him for really him being Logan Thompson, the guy that came in, I think he was like 10-5-3 at the end of last year. Not a guy that had been at the top of their prospect list. A guy that had been in their system, they liked him, but nobody was walking around saying, on other teams saying, we got to trade for Logan Thompson. He's their best prospect. We got to get him, and he'd be in our system. No, it wasn't like that. Like, they liked him, but he was not at the top of their. And he came in and played very, very well. Yeah. I don't know that it would be a mistake to just give him the keys to the car and let's see what he can do.
Yeah.
20 games is not even a sample size, in my opinion. That's what he played last year. But I think it's worth the gamble because you know what? The goalie pickings right now are so weak anyway that you might be better off to waiting and hope you can hang on, get in a position to win the playoffs, and then as teams fall out, maybe get your goalie then if you don't like what Logan Thompson is doing. So.
But where else? What are you going to get? Right? Who else? Like you're saying, I agree with you 100% because who else is out there? Right?
Well, yeah. I mean, right now, the best option, in my opinion, and I wrote this, is James Reimer. Like that's, the Sharks are interested in trading him. He wouldn't cost you much. I don't think he's a horrible goalie. I think he's an exceptional 1B goalie.
Right. And I guess they get $5 million of cap space now that Leonard's gone, right? He's making $5
million.
Right.
Right. Yeah. And it wouldn't even cost you that. So I think he's a $2+ million guy. Like, I think that's their best option. Like, I keep reading, Jake Allen and Varlamov, and Braden Holtby, who has already said that he's not well enough. He didn't think to come back this season, in terms of injuries. The Montreal Canadiens have said we're not doing anything with Jake Allen. We don't know what's going on with Montreal. Lou Lamoriello has shown zero inclination to trade Semyon Varlamov. He likes that tandem. Yeah. The two Russian goalies work well together. He thinks he's going to, make an impact when he signs Kadri. So I don't know that they really have any good options. So why not, try Logan Thompson and see what happens.
Well, and I know I'm being a smart aleck saying that it's Jack Eichel's fault, but it just seems like that team is cursed now, right? I mean, they go from being the darlings that can't lose. The first year, everybody loved them. They were miracles. Nobody wanted these players kind of mentality, and they go to the finals, and now they're in this place where they trade for a goaltender, and then the whole goaltending thing was such a mess the way they handled it with Fleury, and now the goaltender they went and got that they wanted, now it's hurt for the whole year too. So, man.
Well, I don't, I think clearly they made a mistake by trading Fleury. I mean, one thing about Marc-Andre Fleury is he's been durable. Yeah. Like he plays, he's still playing at a high level. I like him over Leonard.
Low maintenance guy too, right? Like you
right.
can do things to him. You can bench him. Maybe everybody else is mad about it, but he just keeps on playing, right?
Yeah, no, and he's good. Like now, this is a tough question, impossible to answer because we're not there. But do you think, just in a small little bit, that when the Leonard season-ending injury was announced to the management team, the Golden Knights, they thought that'll be okay. Yeah, that's okay. We can live with that because they don't have him around for another year. They can kind of sort out where this team is. I mean, there's a little bit of drama that goes on with Robin Leonard. Yeah. I admire him for what he, his stand on mental health. I really do. I'm really, you need people to stand out because mental health is an issue for pro athletes, just like it is for real in the real world. And I think, you need people like him to stand out. However, when you're trying to run a hockey team, it can be sometimes a bit much. And
well, it's the Colin Kaepernick effect, right? I mean, I'm with him taking his stance. He had enough courage to stand up and say something's going wrong in my community, and I wanted to take a stance on it. Now, the problem is it was interfering with the team's determined. It was interfering with the process of them trying to win football games, right? And owners with fans and put people in the seats and all that. And it's terrible to say it this way, and his play fell off too. And that's the problem with Robin Leonard. There's the drama around him, and I'm with you. I totally admire his stance that he's taken. The mental health issue is a very, very important issue, but part of it is that it seems like it affects his play too. Like he's so unstable, and I mean that in a playing standpoint, that you kind of wonder, okay, what are we going to get from him? And now all of a sudden you don't have him. Now, is this the injury that happened to him at the end of the year?
Yeah, it is. Now, I am not going to like I have seen people say, why didn't he report this earlier when they could have done something about it? Look, from what I've been able to ascertain, hips are not like that. Like it makes perfect sense for them to have said, and the Golden Knights could have been certainly involved in this, saying, let's try to rehab this and see where we can get. Let's try to rehab the hip and see where we can get. And then it just wasn't working, and they've had to make the decision. But that apparently is pretty standard with hip injuries, where the first thing you try is let's see where we can get to. And then when it wasn't working, they've committed to the hip surgery. Now, the problem with that is this is a full calendar year injury. So, you're not going to, this is not one of those things where he's going to be back for the playoffs or anything.
And I agree with you. They probably said, listen, if you need the surgery, you're going to miss the year anyways. So let's give it a month or 2 months for rehab. If it doesn't work, then you're going to have the surgery. So
yeah, and I'm not even sure. I think it may have been everybody that was in agreement on that. No one says let's go to surgery right away. Like that's not what you want to do. Well,
with hips and backs, you try to avoid the surgery as much as possible, because what the theory is, the concept is that once you get a surgery, then there's other problems that come with that. But and the rehab is going to be crucial for him too. And he's not old, but he's not 19 years old.
Yeah. So that's interesting. And on top of everything else, the Golden Knights still need another winger too. Like you look at their top six, and you could make a case for them going after Phil Kessel or Evan Rodriguez or someone of that ilk, trying to help there on the wing.
Yeah, definitely. How any updates on any coronavirus? I know your family was hit pretty hard by that.
No, yeah, we were, but everybody's good now. And my wife and I have been at the lake house all week. We've got as of this morning 4 of our 5 grandchildren. My daughter-in-law is back teaching in Chicago. They're back in school this week, at least teachers are. And then I think students start next week. So, we just, took her kids so that she wouldn't have to, because her nanny is not back until next week. So to take care of the kids. So we put all the,
dog yelling at you? Who?
No, that's a grandchild. So. Okay. Yeah, but we actually have 2 dogs here. We have my sister-in-law's dog, a chocolate lab, who is named Snickers. Snickers. And then we have the famed hunting dog, Murphy. So named after Larry Murphy.
Oh, that's right. So little update on our dogs in our neighborhood. We have one dog in our neighborhood, Pepper, who seems like the family's very nice people, but they think that the entire community wants to listen to their dog bark. So I just re-signed my lease, and I thought, I'm going to go check the dog policy. And they're violating a few rules by the way they're handling their dog. Now, should I say something or just say, you know what, it's barking? Just let it go.
Well, I'm the wrong guy to ask for that.
I know I love dogs too, though.
I'm a dog guy. Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, it's a hard situation, though. I'm always when I've had dogs, and I'm currently without one, but I don't want my dog, just like my children. I never want them to embarrass me. So I try to keep my dogs, not under the foot of other people, and to not be barking. And
see, that's the thing. I think these people, I don't really even know them. They seem like they're a very nice couple, a little older couple. I just think that they feel like their dog is very cute when it's barking. Like that's part of the issue, I think.
Yeah. Well, is it a small dog? Is it a yapping dog?
Yeah, small yapping little dog. About a month ago, it got loose. I was sitting out in the back deck having an adult beverage one night about a month ago, and the dog had gotten loose. It was running onto my deck, starts barking at me. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So what is your plan? What are you going to do?
I don't know. There's the part of me that thinks, okay, do I go over there directly and just have a very nice, calm conversation? Just say, listen, I love dogs. I can tell that you love your dog, but like in the leash, the dog's not supposed to interfere with the other residents. You're not supposed to have it tied up out front like you do. I don't want to go to anybody else and complain. I'd rather come to you directly and ask you if you could clarify there, fix things up a little bit. But
yeah, but it's hard to have an adult conversation in this world.
Yeah, I know.
It's really, it's almost like the political world has spilled over into real life.
Yeah.
Like when you see, I'm always amazed, and I noticed in the last 3 or 4 years, like conversations between. I just saw it 3 or 4 days ago. I was at my local Kroger, and there was a woman dressing down the manager over the lack of employees. Now, Kroger has a giant sign out and hanging. They did for a full week, saying, no appointment necessary, interviews done on the spot, starting wage $15.50. Getting people to work in Michigan has been a major problem.
Really?
But that did not stop this woman from just tearing him a new one right there in front of God and everyone about the fact that there were long lines at the cashiers, and he had some aisles that weren't open, and he basically said to her just what I'm telling you. If we could find people, we would hire them. We don't like this any more than you do.
Right.
But we can't get people to take jobs. And I saw really a fascinating story on this, and this is something I never thought of before, but apparently is playing a role. Why young people are not taking jobs, and that is there is a perception, because it turns out it's really not the truth. And it was written by a New York Times writer, and it was on the CNN show Smerconish, who I usually watch on Saturday mornings. I like him. But anyway, and he was a big proponent of getting jobs when you're a teenager. And I am too. I think you learn a lot about life when I did all kinds of things when I was young. And it turns out that a lot of younger people who are in high school in particular are not getting jobs because they're volunteering, because they think that looks better on their college resume, because they have particular colleges they want to get in, than having a summer job. And it turns out, according to the New York Times, that yes, colleges want you to do some volunteer work, and they want you to be well-rounded, but they also look at whether you've had a summer job.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
So anyway, and that's one of the issues that they've discovered, that a lot of the kids who are college bound think, well, I'll volunteer at wherever, and for the summer, and that's more important than working at McDonald's. So yeah,
I guess I could see that point in one side, but yeah, when you're a teenager, just the fact that you want to work should mean a lot to the college.
Yeah.
Too, right?
Those are become kind of big issues, though. So
definitely. Did you see the sushi I made yesterday?
I did not. And I'd actually like to talk to our viewers on this. Tom Laidlaw has slipped off my radar on Facebook. Like, you do not come up for me anymore. And I thought it was because I haven't been on Facebook as faithfully as I normally have, but I have been in the last week or so.
Right.
And you just never roll by anymore. I've got to go looking for you.
Oh, really?
And I wondered why that was. If anybody has any theory on why the algorithm.
Because I'm doing more reels and stories, but I think when I do a reel, I think it still gets posted to my well. Huh.
That's interesting, because I just I thought about that yesterday, and
So I've gotten onto TikTok as well.
Oh, really? You like TikTok?
Well, it's not that I like it. I'm trying to promote all the stuff a little bit more, all the things we're doing here, and everybody says that TikTok is the place to be. So,
yeah,
it's very similar. It's basically the same. Works the same way as Instagram or Facebook. I mean, you're posting things and put down hashtags and all that kind of stuff. So,
right. So, well, this is Murphy, who's not happy that everybody has left the building except for me. So she says, why didn't I get to go? There's another dog out there. Snickers is out there.
Oh,
that's why she probably is not out there. So
Susan's getting very theatrical, a musical background. I mean, so I learned there's this app called Splice. A good friend of mine. I do a show now on Thursday mornings with this Rich Gabberty. He's doing motivational stuff, and he's really learned a lot about social media and how to make it work. So he's telling me about this app Splice. You can put together little clips and music and a whole bit. So yeah.
So you're doing like music with your workouts, or?
Yes. So I do 3-second clips, and then you put them all together, usually for about 25 seconds, and you put music to it. They've got all the music there listed that is not copyright. Is copyright, I guess, is the right term that we can use.
Yeah.
So they get some pretty good stuff. Yeah, it's fun.
I'm always amazed. I've spoken about this before, but my wife does yoga every morning with someone called Adrian, and then and her dog Benji. And I really, really like the dog.
Right.
And then she also watches all these vegan cooking shows.
Oh.
and a couple of her vegan, chefs. I don't know if they consider themselves chefs, but they prepare vegan meals. I mean, they're better than some stand-up comedians I've heard. Like,
Oh,
this guy did this funny bit about he has a backyard garden and he has zucchini and he ends up with way too many zucchinis, and he goes door to door in his neighborhood trying to get rid of his zucchinis. And he does this bit about how they see me coming, they refuse to answer the door. They, back in the basement, it's the man with the zucchinis. I don't want to deal with them.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny.
So,
Usually, when I go to the store, I'll buy like a quarter of a watermelon. Right? They slice them up because I don't need the whole watermelon. But I was at Costco one day. I thought I'll grab watermelon. It's cheap. But then I cut it all up, put it in a container so I could eat it. Then I had half a watermelon left over. So I'm the same thing. I'm running around trying to figure out how we can get this half a watermelon too. And I'm walking out to the garbage, not to throw away the watermelon, but to take the garbage out. And Pepper's mother happened to be walking by, and I said, "Would you like a watermelon?" And I think she must understand that I don't like the dog or something, because she looked at me like I had two heads. Like, why are you giving us a watermelon? I guess I hardly ever spoke to him before too. So, and I've given half the watermelon to Pepper's mother.
well, that's a good start. Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't do any good. Didn't do any good. That's about a month ago. They haven't changed things.
Yeah. No. But no, it's interesting. Speaking of watermelon, last night we had two of our grandkids here last night, and it was movie night, and so we decided to do a Disney classic, and certainly you're not going to know it, but it's Pollyanna, which is relatively famous. It's a 1960 Disney movie, so it's 62 years old. Haley Mills is Pollyanna. And James Wyman, who was once married to Ronald Reagan, stars in it. And there's several other actors that older people who watch movies will certainly recognize. And they had this fair there where they go to the fair, and it's in the town. So the townspeople do it. And they're selling watermelon slices for a penny. And these were the thickest watermelon slices I had ever seen in my entire life. So, having been a child in the 60s, I'm pretty sure even back then, watermelon slices were not going for a penny. But it was like a quarter of the watermelon for a penny. So.
Watermelon's good too. Oh, love watermelon.
Yeah, especially right about now. Like in Michigan, now's the time to buy watermelon. It is so sweet and it's riper. You don't get that. The one part I hate about the watermelon is if you get them too early, some of it is not ripe. So you cut into it and you got that sweet taste of the watermelon. Then you get a little low near the rind, and you get a little too. The rind is a little bit higher. On the melon. So you get them in August. They're all just red all the way through. So.
I did see a funny video. I think it was on TikTok too, where they've got a guy working at a grocery store or something, and he's really fast. He slices all the rind so that you can get to the watermelon, and then cube it up and put it in a container. But he's this one guy's watching it, and he's screaming at the guy that's cutting the watermelon up, because you're wasting all the watermelon. You might have to be there, but it was pretty funny the way he was doing it too.
Yeah. No, you do got to be careful. I mean, in the slicing of the melon. So I actually prefer my watermelon cut up. A lot of people like to eat it out of the.
Yeah, same here. I'm with you.
Yeah, I like it cut up. Anyway, it just, and there's like so few calories in watermelon.
It's got a lot of citrulline in it too. Citrulline is really good for your heart and your blood flow and all that too. So
yeah, and you get, but you get a lot of. It's just there's a lot of water, obviously, in watermelon, which is why
love watermelon. Like it cold or warm?
For what, watermelon? Oh, I love it cold. Yeah,
it's gotta be the fridge, right? Get rid of the fridge.
Yeah. So anyway, so it was an interesting movie last night. It was hard to believe. They had a hard time believing that both my wife and I had both seen that movie when we were their age. So
right. I can't believe that Susan is against us on the watermelon. Is that the first time that Susan disagreed with us?
Never liked watermelon. It may be, but I've met people who don't like watermelon.
Yeah. And it's not messy. If you cut it up, Susan, it's not messy either.
Yeah, it's not messy if you cut it up. That's and that's another reason why I think it's better cut, because it does get a little messy. You got that thing, and the kids. If you got kids, if you give them watermelon, their shirt's gonna look like
it's all over the face and everything.
Yeah, we basically we tell our grandkids, take your shirts off.
Same thing when you're having like a lobster dinner too, right? You must just take the shirt right off.
Yeah, although I don't eat lobster very often. So
Oh, you don't. Oh, nice lobster steak, baked potato, corn on the cob. Woo.
yeah, it's a little pricey though.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I know it's a little better on the east if up in Maine and stuff you can
Yeah.
get a bit less expensive.
There's a
But,
place, it's gone now, but there's a place small. I think it was in the guy's garage or something. He'd go out and catch the lobster himself and sell it out of his garage for a really cheap price too. So,
oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Those are always kind of a fun thing. Well, anyway, we have literally eaten with watermelon and stuff through our 40 minutes. So we appreciate everyone tuning in and hearing about Mason McTavish and lobsters and watermelons and Disney's Pollyanna movie. And we'll be back on Wednesday, talk a little bit of hockey. And by then, we'll probably have watched another Disney movie from the 1960s. We'll talk about that as well. That'll be another movie that Tom has not seen. But anyway, we appreciate you tuning in. If you want to read me, I'm at hockeybuzz.com and also DetroitHockeyNow.com.
and if you want to listen to the radio version of this show, you can go to radio.co at 365 Sports. Everybody have a great couple of days. We'll see you on Wednesday.